I think the whole genesis of the project came from Appian Way, which is Leonardo DiCaprio's company. They sort of developed this treatment, and they hired David Leslie Johnson to write a script for it, and David is the one that, you know, sort of built the foundation of the script and created this amazing twist that we have. When I was given the script by Dark Castle, and when I read it, I felt compelled to do it because the characters were just so unbelievably well written, and I really felt that there was a great potential to do a psychological thriller that turns into horror, you know, and also the twist. You know, it's very rare for me to read a script that I don't know what's going to happen midway through reading it. I was worried. I'm not going to lie. I was worried about finding Isabella and also the character of Max. Those are very specific, you know, roles that when you're looking for a child, the difficulty is that you cannot just hire that great child that you saw in the last movie, because by the time you're doing your movie, they've already grown up. So you really have to start from scratch, and you have to find these children somewhere, and we have great casting people that they go everywhere and they have open casting calls. And when Isabel came in, she just blew the competition away. She just owned the character, and when she started reading the script, you know, I could see that she was the one. It's a natural presence. She's very smart. The way that she delivers the lines, she makes very specific choices. And that's what an actor needs to do. An actor needs to know why are they saying the lines, and what do they want to gain from saying those lines. And she naturally knows that, you know. So most other kids that came and read, they were just basically saying the lines, probably as, you know, their mom told them to say it, you know, like they don't really own the character. She did know exactly what she wanted to do with the character, and it was a no-brainer for us to put her in this movie. It was fantastic, and I think that, you know, they were really playful with each other. They have a great chemistry. They knew each other before the movie, so I think they were very excited to work together. And in most of the scenes where they're together alone, there was not a lot of rehearsal, you know, except for the blocking, so we know what we're doing. But they were excited to just be able to surprise each other during the scene, and that was amazing to be witness to that. And just sometimes I would forget to even say cut, because I didn't know I was watching a movie, you know. I thought I was watching something that was happening for real. It's the usual challenges of doing any sort of stunt work. Obviously, with children, it's a bit more difficult because you know, you need to be extra careful, and it's very hard to find doubles for children, because if you find a double, it's usually another kid, so you still, you know, are in the same ballpark. But that only takes, you know, a lot of rehearsal and a lot of planning ahead, and you know, it's just like any other movie. Obviously, it's a lot of fun to play with fake blood, and people actually on the set get really excited when you have those scenes coming up on the day, because you know that they're going to be fun, it's going to get messy, and you're just kind of like going to have a laugh. Really, it's not scary at all. It's quite the opposite, you know. It's how you cut it together, and when you put the music, then it becomes what it becomes. But the actual making of it, it's probably one of the lighter parts of making of one of the scenes. Sometimes the dialogue scene is much more intense and dreadful than those, you know, sort of violent scenes. Completely. The movie changes like 100%. You know, it's one of my favorite parts of making a movie is when the composer comes on board and starts writing themes for the movie. You really are able, you know, to work on a whole new layer, you know, and touch people's emotions, and really tie in those emotions with each character and the theme. I like that the music, that it has an arc, so you can almost like follow through, Esther's theme or Kate's theme and the relationship with Max. And that's why, John Ottman is such a great composer, because he's able to bring emotion to those cues while still keeping the sort of the genre expectations. A great villain, that's key. In this case we have Esther. She's a very smart, manipulative villain, that comes in this great package of she looks like this innocent little girl that you never suspect that she's able to be that bad. Then you need some main characters that are in many ways flawed, that they're aspiring for happiness, but yet there is some issues that they have to deal with. These issues later on are going to be used by the villain to basically manipulate the situation and create the tension. And you need a great setting. If you put all of those characters in a like in this case like a house, in the middle of winter, where in a way you feel that these characters cannot escape the situation, they have to confront the issues, then you have, I think, all the elements for a horror film. In this movie, the tension and the scares happen in two different levels. One is the psychological main character storyline, and then the other one is the little tricks that the director uses to make all of a sudden the audience jump, so that they're always at the edge of their seats. It's easy for one of these movies where there's a lot of talking, that it becomes some sort of a drama, but you need to keep reminding the audience always that they're watching a horror film. I've seen it in an early test screening, and I'm really looking forward to going to the theater, in disguise, and kind of blending in with the main audience and seeing their reaction. That's the best moment for a director, since after 2 years of working on it, you cannot really get the same, reaction yourself. So you want to experience it through other people.
There's a company called Appian Way, Leonardo DiCaprio's company, and they had developed the script. It was an idea that Leo had and gave to a writer, and they gave it to Warner Brothers, who turned it over to Dark Castle. They read it, Warner's liked it, they thought it'd be a perfect Dark Castle thing. We distribute through Warner Brothers. Joel and I read it, and by the time we put it down, we were like, this thing's insane, but we have to make it.
It's got a twist in it that we're not going to talk about, that you don't see coming, and I think that's what was exciting for us, and there was great characters and great ideas in it, and it was really a pretty well fleshed out idea, project. So we were happy to try to make it work, and Susan worked very closely with Leo's people to really get the script fantastic, and we went from there.
It was his initial idea, and then it came through us, and then he has a great staff of people. This guy, Mikey, and this woman, Jennifer, and we worked with them very closely, and then they kind of dealt with the Leo side of it because he was busy with projects while we were shooting and stuff, but he was very involved creatively overall, and especially working with kids, and him being a child actor himself, and him wanting to make sure everything was being dealt with appropriately, so it was a good experience. It was a pretty straightforward casting process where they put a bunch of kids on tape, and we all watched them, and Isabel just popped. I mean, so obvious, no-brainer, and it was exciting. I mean, she visually didn't look anything like what was in the script. So when we first saw it and popped on, we were like, and then she started doing the performance, and she's such a natural. She had the accent down, she had the dress on, everything. It just was like, oh, we found Esther.
Leo, who was working with us, was on a movie in South Africa. I think he was shooting Blood Diamond, and he had seen. We have a website we have called Cast It, which is a casting website where you go to a secure place and you can see all the people that are auditioning for the roles. And he called me and said, there's this girl, and she's fantastic. Where do you see her? And we went to the site, and there was no girl, in the little still pictures that matched what the girl's description was in the movie. I mean, she was very different in the script, in the description of the girl. And so when we saw, Isabella, she was like, that's it. We got her.
She has this interesting track record of seeking out pictures even before you're even talking about who you're going to cast. We hadn't even put together thoughts or ideas or lists. And she manages to get a hold of them, read them. And I say that because she lives in a farm like upstate New York or some place like that on the East Coast of the United States, and she'll put herself on tape and she'll just send it in and see what happens. And that's what she did on this picture. And she had a great take on the character of Kate. She talked to Jama for a while. They completely were seeing eye to eye with it. And her style of performance, very natural, is exactly what Jama was going for. And she knew Peter, had a relationship with Peter. They'd worked together in Flight Plan. They share some common representatives, that kind of thing. And he was the only guy we talked about for the husband. And it worked out really, really well because you just feel like they're a real couple. Well, Jama is a lover of the horror genre, so he was going to embrace it, and I know that he had a lot of fun. We did House of Wax with him. We had a great time. He's a visual filmmaker. He's very prepared, and we knew we'd have all that, but what he really wanted to do was kind of go for something slightly more classic and slightly more elevated than what we were able to do with House of Wax. It was just the nature of that material. And he is, he would always reference kind of the horror movies of the 70s and a desire to sort of take the time, make interesting characters, not just go for something that was going to be shocking and quick cuts and flashy. And the story lent itself to that, and I think he did a great job in delivering that and getting performances from our actors that also service that ambition.
It was not really planned. I mean, it was supposed to be a fall movie. It was supposed to have, we started shooting the movie for a few weeks in Toronto before Christmas, and the idea was to get the changing of the colors, the leaves, everything to make it really feel interesting and special, but it had the worst snowstorm in history that year. So we ended up having this really cold, snowy movie, which was difficult to do because you're dealing with only a short amount of time per day that these kids can work. And the snow makes everything slower and longer, and it was complicated. But Jama really, worked well with them, and it kind of made the movie more interesting, more claustrophobic, more thrilling. And I think it aided the story and made the picture better.
It's part of the process. You just kind of have to roll with it. We were having like a leave watch, and it'd be like, oh, yep, no more leaves are going down. Yeah, they're gone, pretty much gone. Now, oh, here's the snow. So you just kind of roll with it. And in this case, it didn't probably help the budget a little bit. We had to eliminate certain things that were going to be there, but no, it was fine. You have a sense when you're filming, if you're sitting at the monitor and the shots are telling you the way that he's utilizing the camera, the space, or the lighting. You have a sense of whether or not you're creating an atmosphere that could potentially be scary, but once you get in there with the sound, and in this case some very subtle visual effects, it really brings it to a whole other level.
It's got to be scary, it's got to be scary, and it's got to be, disturbing, and it's got to put you edge of your seat. I mean, that's something that my former partner, Bob Zmecka, said years ago, that horror films are the only kind of movies that actually can change your physical state. They can make your heart race, they can make you uncomfortable, and, that's the whole idea of these kind of movies, to affect you some way. And we did House on Haunted Hill, 13 Ghosts, Ghost Ship, Gothica. We've done a lot of these films, but this is a unique one in that it really is different, and it's unusual, and it's unlike those other films. And I think that it may be one of the best films we ever did at Dark Castle.
I felt exactly that way. It was so challenging and yet just so different and amazing, and I had to play Esther. I just had to. I knew I had to. I wanted to get into characters. I wore an old-fashioned dress, I curled my hair, wore a bow, and I wore ribbons on my wrists and neck, and I really wanted to feel what Esther was feeling. And the audition was really great. I met with the casting assistants and then the casting director on the first call. And then on the second call I met with Jama, who's just an amazing, amazing director. And then we got the news that I got it, and I was just so excited. I couldn't relate to her really at all in most ways, because she's very different from me. I'm not evil, I'm not freaky, I don't walk around like this, giving people a glare. I'm a very nice person, and I'm very different from her, and I really just had to completely tackle this role and completely become Esther and this conflicted character. It was very challenging, and it just I had so much to do, so much to learn from Vera and Peter, and a lot of sign language, dialect, painting, piano. I had to understand who she was. I had to observe people. I had to really just think about, like, sometimes I would sit in my room at night, like before I would go to sleep, and I'd think about, okay, tomorrow I'm doing these scenes. And then before the scene, I'd be thinking about, what can I do to make Esther really come alive in this? To make Esther, like, how can I feel what Esther's feeling? And it was just a great experience, and I just am so lucky to have it. They were different and very cute. Like, some ones I really liked because they were, like, girly and sweet, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's so cute. And then other ones I'm like, I can see Esther in that. I can see that evil little girl doing something in that. It was a lot of fun. The fake blood was very funny because it was like corn syrup and red dye, and so when we were doing one of the scenes, and I hit this the dummy, the blood splattered up in my face, and I was like, I was still doing the scene, and then afterwards, everyone's like, you should look at your face. I'm like, what? And then I'm like, oh, this is kind of sticky. What's on my face? And then they had to wash my hair for that because my hair got covered in the fake blood. It was funny. Not really, because I mean, I could scare them, of course, but not really. I'm not really that scary to them because we would always talk, and we would go out sometimes to dinner, and we would joke around on set, and then, like, the minute we'd get ready to go, it's just like, snap, we have to go. We're just ready. We're gonna have to get in character. We're gonna have to do this right now, and we're gonna make it work. And it always just everything just clicked. Like, Vera and I in the movie, we were kind of like enemies in a way, but in real life, I'm just really great friends with her. And Peter is just awesome, very funny. I really, really like this this film. I do want to do another horror film, but maybe after I do a couple dramas and comedies, that sort of thing.